the Snowblower Gearbox I had taken apart and found out that the chain was broken. So I ordered a new chain, $50 almost, off of Amazon. Looks like the right size. And then I found one of the bearings was somewhat rough. There's the seal. But so I ordered two bearings for something like $10. So let's see if they're the... I just got the parts in. So let's see if they match the one I took out. And it looks about the same. So then the seal, which goes in, I'll put a little grease on it. Maybe it has to come through from the back side, huh? Yeah. Not under pressure or anything. Now the bearing. No difference on the sides. I'll put the one with the label out. So, let me tap it in. Should we see if the... Yeah. So now the question is what goes where, huh? Which gear goes in which? Are they perfectly symmetrical? So one has to go that way, then the spline goes on here, and then the other goes through here. I wonder if there's a difference if I've got it backwards or not. I'm curious if the chain will fit on. That seemed to me like to be the most complicated part, is making the chain fit. I just have to get the chain onto the sprocket, which is most likely going to be tricky. So I think the way I have to do that is put them on first. put the chain on. Like that and like that, and then push it down on. Huh, nothing to it. Now, what's the chances that this is I have to put a sealer. It doesn't have a gasket. I have to put a sealer in there. But what's the chances that's right side up, that I put these in instead of this way, this way? I don't know if there is such a thing as doing it wrong. It's too heavy of a thinking process for me. I wonder if I can't get that chain repaired. It's one bad link broken there. I'll try that too as a replacement. $50 is a lot. So what I'm going to do now is go in and look at my pictures from before and see if I can figure out if the castings this has one side bolt. I can't remember. Well, it hooks into the thing like this. This goes into the blower. This goes into the PTO shaft. So the question is the flange on the back side, on the inside, or on the back? So I'll go study that for a minute. Well, I went and looked, and this is right. It sits like this. PTO shaft comes in, 2 bolts to hold this in the frame, and this goes into the auger part. So now what I'm missing, I've got these bolts to bolt this together, but before I can do that, I need to seal in there. I don't have a gasket, so I'm going to get some like what was on there, sort of that rubber make a gasket type stuff, and then I have to grease it good in there too. So I'll pull it apart again before I go any further. So I got the seal in there. It's interesting, I could put the seal in from the outside without taking, if it leaked, to put a new seal in quite easily. Feels like it's not fitting the sprocket too good. Oh, there, it's not down in place. Oh, runs smooth. So now when I hook it onto the PTO thing, ideally, when I put a bolt through here to the PTO shaft, I should put them really soft, so if it ever freezes up, breaks in there, the pin, rather than breaks the chain. Alright, so let me see if I can find a little of that make a gasket. I probably don't have it on hand, so I'll probably have to go to town and get some. Although it's the 29th of April, so I don't expect any more snowstorms, so I'm not in a real rush to fix this, to get ready for next year. All right. The bearings from MTD were really quite expensive, or from the lawnmower people, but when I got the bearing number off of it, I found out it wasn't very expensive. A fellow on the internet, or on the Facebook page where I mentioned this, said, oh, he just bought a big chunk of this chain and then he made a bunch of them, and by putting in a fix link, and probably he said the whole big chunk of chain was $50, same as the price for this one, and he could make like half a dozen chains out of that piece he bought. But I'm not that handy. So we're going to take a break here and look for some gasket. Well, a while back my Cub Cadet snowblower broke the chain inside the gearbox, and so I took it apart. I bought one new bearing, put that in, and that's this one here, and I put the new chain on. Now I need to put the two halves together. There wasn't a gasket, so I just bought some of the, what I think was on there before, some of this, well, I bought ultra black gasket maker from Permatex, which is for, not supposed to be for any high temperature pressure or anything, it's just to make a seal. What's in there isn't oil. I'll just fill it with grease. I was thinking I could put lithium grease in, but I think I'll put in just regular wheel bearing grease on the chain and that. So I'll put that in before I try to do the gasket. I don't really need to put this much on, but being I probably will never open it up again unless I break it, I don't think I'll get too worried if I overdo it with grease. It doesn't really need much of a gasket to hold the stuff in, grease in. But it does have a hole in the top that I think if I want to, I could put a grease fitting in there, or maybe even just put some oil in it occasionally, or some gear grease. So what I was going to do here is squeeze some Permatex gasket maker. It's expensive stuff, something like $7 a tube. Should have made a bigger hole. I think it's more to keep water probably, and dust and stuff from getting in, than to keep anything inside of it. The pins, well, the shafts too, but these pins line it up. Center the pin. as I was saying, this hole here, this goes back towards the tractor. This goes actually this way, isn't it? Yeah, so that's a drain hole. It's not really an oil hole. It's a drain one to drain out anything that got in there. So it fits together, the gasket's there. Now I just take the bolts I took out, and 3 or 4 on either side. There. Now, to put it back together, there's a pin here that really should be a breakaway one. I'm going to see if my, maybe like one of those auger shear bolts would be there, because what happened was this thing goes to the sort of the auger fan, the blower, and it had froze down, water got in it, froze it, so that was rigid. This was rigid, so the only place when I put the 25 horsepower engine in gear running full tilt, broke this chain. So it would be better to have it break here. So I think I'll see if that'll work. I have pins that go in there, and of course I'll be awfully careful in the future not to let it get froze down in there. This fits into the snowblower auger. So now we'll move over and hook it on to the snowblower, being that it's repaired. Well, I did find the bolts that I took out of here, small with a lock nut. Now there's a spline collar that this So the question is, did I get the two lined up? Yep, the auger turns. So then what we have here is two little bolts. Then this PTO shaft tips up, comes down on there, and through the hole here, oh, it's a square. That's not the right one. This one. Yeah, this one goes into here, but it goes on here. What I was talking about was replacing this with a one of the soft bolts that would snap off rather than break the chain if it ever happens again. I have these shear pins like this, but that one isn't long enough. I mean, these shear bolts, that's not long enough. I think I'll get another little better one maybe. So all that's left is tighten up these, put the PTO into here and into there, and then put it back on the tractor next fall when snow season comes. So I'm going to close that up here and call it success.